Two of the things we wanted to sort of address at some point over the course of the day were, like, one, this is organized by School for Poetic Computation. What is poetic computation? Great question. One we will hope to answer, but one that is challenging for one person to answer by themselves. So we assembled a crack team to put together. What does it mean? And the other thing is, how do we make something that feels like 10 years? The school's been in operation for 10 years, and it's really hard for one person to speak to that amount of time. So we got 10 people to speak to that amount of time. What you see on stage here is one person from every year of SFPC. So going from left to right in chronological order, we have Jonathan Dahan from 2013. We have me, Todd Anderson, from 2014. I'll be your moderator. We have Yesel Song from 2015. We have Dan Gorlick from 2016. April Soderman from 2017. Megna Delakia, 2018. Olivia Michaela Ross, 2019. Elizabeth Perez, 2020. Joel Florentin from 2021. And Herda Masangara from 2022. So in our notes, when we were preparing this, the working title was 10-person chaos panel. And we are going to do our best to not have too much chaos, but we do have 10 people sharing a 150 slide deck. We're going to do our best up here. Yeah, we're going to pass person to person. Try not to go too over what we've allotted. We won't actually. This is gonna be a tight ship. I'm gonna be timing. I'm gonna be keeping things running. But yeah, I think we're ready to get started, and I'm going to turn things over. I guess I can introduce a little bit the prompt I gave for these folks to respond to. Is just a little bit of kind of what is poetic computation. But also, what did it mean to you when you went to study to SFPC, and what does it mean to you now? So to start us off, I'm going to invite up Jonathan Dahan.
Hello. I didn't read the prompt. I made slides, and then I read the prompt the next day. So what poetic computation meant to me was intentional friction, questioning without having a hypothesis in mind. More importantly, permission to create for its own sake. And then when I wrote this, I was like, oh, rejection of value systems established without consent. It felt really impersonal, even if I thought it was true. And after hearing Rachel Ua speak earlier about putting yourself into what you do, I came up with a more personal version. Before I show that personal version, which is not on these slides, I'm going to keep this in the background. These are all the things I wrote before I knew what the prompt was. These are all stories that I would love to tell about the first year. About golden hour, about the grass artist, about tents showing up in the school, how quickly you can find a bathtub when you are having a school in a hoarder's 4-story apartment building, the importance of dinners, transparency of finances, all these things, and then the people, School of Ma'o, of course, Backspace, a lot of other places that kind of the fractal expansion of teaching generations of teachers. Really, I've seen that happen and participated in that, so that was pretty amazing. What I think poetic computation is now, and this is kind of pretty unformed, but I'm gonna call it navigating this space of at least 3 axes. When I see or participate in a piece that feels poetic to me, or it feels like poetic computation, these axes involve high amounts of depth of knowledge or understanding of the medium that you're working in, or extremely low knowledge of the area that you're working in. spending that space to explore either systematic context or a personal story. And then there is a third axis that I can't find right now, but I took a picture of. It relates to either an exaggeration or like amplification of some aspect of that medium or a rejection. So I feel like, you know, anytime I see a piece that like really grabs me, it's someone showing the depth of their knowledge of the system or the lack of depth and saying, well, why can't it be different? Or why, you know, I'm gonna change it somehow, or I'm gonna amplify some small part of it to show you something that maybe you haven't seen before. And that's how it feels to me right now, and is personal to me now. So thank you, Todd.
Okay, thank you, Jonathan. I think I might need to refresh oh, was this downloaded? Oh, site. Well, let's see. One second. I'm going to check my email right here and get it, because in typical presenter fashion, we have been updating our slide deck throughout the day. And really, some updates happening moments before coming on stage. So I want to make sure I have the up-to-date version, which I might need to log into my email. There's an email up here, but whose email is it? Okay, let's see. I just need there it is. Okay, I just needed to find the link to the slides, and then what I would want to be able to do is, be able to put this in presenter view, and have this go on the screen. What's that?
I think you gotta drag. We're trying to drag it to the.
Oh yeah, it's up.
Tim, can you go back to the other view for a sec? It's okay. It's up on the screen. We just need to see what we're doing on the other screen. Okay.
Oh, cool. Yeah, all right. We'll do it live. Oh boy. I don't know how to use a Mac. Sorry, everyone. Yo. Yeah, is that? All right. Okay, cool. And then next. Oh yeah, just plus. Okay. All right. Yeah. All right. Here's Jonathan's graph. Sorry, Jonathan. we have your updated graph. Cool. Here's me. The train keeps barreling forward. It's me, Todd Anderson. I'm your moderator, but I also went to School for Poetic Computation in 2014. I found School for Poetic Computation by Googling computer poetry. This is not a joke. It is how I found the school. I was making some computer poetry at the time, and I was trying to find more of it, and then I used Google to find a school where purportedly you could do that. Around a few months before I went to School for Poetic Computation, I started a show called Word Hack. Yay, we got some Word Hack friends in the crowd. Yeah, we had our first event in July. I attended SFBC in September of 2014. First event was in July and included two students from the first class of SFBC there. So that's sort of how I found the school and came to study it. And here's me and my cohort in 2014. If any of you saw Christo and the easel with projector up in the art fair, Christo was my year. Great to connect with Christo. And yeah, while I was there, I just sort of got really interested in code and poetry, and ended up organizing some more separate small sessions with my time with SFPC over time. This is a little screenshot of my final project that I made at SFPC, which is like a little machine that, ooh, we're back, which a little machine that would allow you to kind of say a poem with text-to-speech and mash keys on a keyboard and read a poem out loud. So really, like when I first started studying, like specifically, like I was writing poems and trying to put them into the computer. I was like very literal with poetic computation. And since then, I've been more exploring different sorts of things that are just ways to use a computer where it's not exactly just you telling it what to do and it does it. So this is some screenshots from my class that I just taught at SFPC last year, an artist's history of computer viruses and malware, which is some of the things I'm thinking about. Also, just creating ways to thoughtfully engage with a computer. We have our ECPC installations in the back. These little computers full of curated software. That's part of what it means to me. And this definition that we always use in our opening orientation slide deck for SFPC, which you can now find on the back of the wonderful t-shirts that Lin Yun designed. Poetic computation is an act of resistance against utilitarian notions of progress and efficiency, which to me means a lot of kind of poetic computation to me these days is a lot of not using a computer to do the most efficient, most powerful, most money-making thing, but using it to do something weird and nonsensical and unintuitive and beyond your control. That's all for me. Let's go over to Yesel Song. Just left and right arrow. The screen is down below the screen, so you have to scroll down.
Does this work? Okay. Well, hi everyone. My name is Yesol Song. And to prepare for this presentation, I asked my cohorts and organizers from that time to contribute their memories, and some of them are included here. When I applied to and entered SFPC, it felt like encountering a new planet full of new ideas and technologies, possibilities, and ways of learning. And I was a part of 2 sessions. The first session was summer code poetry that Todd just mentioned. It was at Baby Castles. Lauren Garner, a former SFPC partner, recollected what my classmate Josh said on the show day. This is my favorite moment when something amazing comes out of nothing and it's the work of many people. It's the best kind of magic. And then I joined the fall session at the West Path. We were the first cohort at the West Path, and we actually didn't know where we will be until a few days before the first day. So we spent a lot of time together, working together in this space that was newly built with cool handmade furniture. And we had a lot of guests over and cooked so many meals together. This is Brian, who was making cocktail. And we ate a lot of meals together. And this is a space that was facing the Hudson River from the west Path. And Taeyun Choi, SFPC co-founder, wanted to share 10 rules for teachers and students, and I like this one among them, saying find a place you trust and then try trusting it for a while. And my classmate Becca Moore shared her memory. Everyone was so open and kind about learning from one another and understanding that we are all always beginners in something. that beautiful, curious beginner's mindset and the special ideas that happen in that space. And this is a photo of us learning origami from amazing origami artist and classmate Robbie Crabb. We made a lot of mushrooms. And our cohort has a very special chance to present our work at called Recoded, which began in Jack Lieberman's Recreating the Past class at Day 4 Night Festival in Austin, Texas. Also there we made a zine as well. Many of us went to Austin to put this together after our session. And Zach Lieberman, a co-founder of SFPC, recollects, I remember the typing sound from the exhibit and how people thought that we were live coding it, even though we are actually not. They were pre-coded. And continuing from his code, this photo was like at the end of the event when we were packing up and found our sign. And I just remember feeling like we did something really special there, which is hard to do in a collective project. I felt proud to be part of a place that could do that. And he also wrote an essay recently on his Medium blog about our time at SFPC. So in case anyone want to look back the old times, you can check them out. So, well, this was my very proud Arduino circuit that I made. It was my first circuit, which I made at SFPC. And now I co-lead physical computing at ITP as a full-time faculty member. have made many large-scale artwork with these tools. So I feel really lucky to start all the journey from SFPC. And now when I think of SFPC, I feel like it's my hometown. It was actually my first place in New York, and then the reason I came to New York. And I really miss that time, and I wish some of them were here today.
Hi, everyone. Is this chaotic enough for you, this panel? Haha. I remember the keybind to hide the top. How are you all doing? Can we take a collective breath to make it a little less chaotic? Ready? Cool, thanks. Yeah, I was a 2016 year, and at this point, SFPC was still a 10-week, full-time, intensive program. It's not that anymore, but helpful context for those in the audience who might not know that. And it was a huge commitment to do that, and I'm very grateful to have this cohort and also folks who aren't pictured here to be a part of that. And I'm going to try to keep it brief. My reflections on what poetic computation is. I am a cellist. I played cello since I was 5 years old. So for me, going to SFPC was an introduction to me where I could find the intersection of music and technology. And I think that poetic computation to me at that point and also now is finding those like magical moments by accident, these like emergent moments of joy that is the result of maybe you use computation, maybe you use something else. For me, I love making interactive pieces. And I get even more excited when I can share those moments of joy with others. And I feel like we can create these new normals where people didn't expect that projections on the wall or physical hardware might be an installation. They don't know what it is when they walk up, but by the time they leave, hopefully this is a new normal for them, a new memory that's possible with technology. And I think that now what poetic computation is to me, I think the other technology that is really exciting and is really active is the social structures that are created around SFPC. I didn't appreciate this at the time, but SFPC was just like this institution that I came to and it existed. And I feel like I have a lot more appreciation for how in 2016, and even now, these are just these snapshots for where these communities are. And we're all creating where they're going together, if that's okay English. We're all creating it together. And I realized that these events, like we're all sitting here together, or performances that I organize or play at, it is really so special to be all in the same space. So the little reframe that I've been having is that events, performances are all just gatherings. And it's so special to be in the same physical place as everyone, to be breathing the same air, and to be creating these new memories together, and to be creating these futures that didn't exist before, but together. So yeah, so Poetic Computation, I think for me, in addition to the great definition that Todd listed, which I think is cheating, but is helpful context, I think it's really the appreciating the social structures, the pedagogy that exist as well. So yeah, thanks.
Hello. Okay, hey, yeah, I'm, thank you, front row. Hey, I'm April Sitarman. I'm an artist and writer. And years ago, I was living in Seattle, working in architecture, making street art and installations. And I actually found SFPC by Googling Art Creative Conference. And so I found IO in Minneapolis, and that led me to SFPC. So yeah, I have a little story. Back in fall 2017, it was 2 weeks before the SFPC Fall Showcase, so it's a 10-week program, Fall Showcase, big party at the end, and I'm trying to figure out my final project. I had 2 different ideas, one that would have been fun, entertaining, a little silly, but very achievable, and the other was this like deeply personal project that I had slowly written in like bits and pieces over the years and kept very like quiet, but held very close to my heart. So it's like a warm November evening, and I'm wandering down the little streets in the West Village, and I'm trying to think through this, and I actually run into Lauren, who's one of the admins at the time, and I end up telling her about my project ideas. First, the fun crowd pleaser, that I was like, oh, the fun crowd pleaser, and this other installation idea, this like alternate reality autobiography. And she's listening. And I tell her that I'm really scared, that it's too personal, it's too revealing, it's too difficult, and I don't know if I'm capable of doing it. And we're standing at this street corner, and then she reaches into her pocket, and she like hands me this rock, this like smooth iridescent stone that she had picked up in a shop earlier that day. And she tells me the stone it symbolizes the courage to go for the life you deserve. So after that, of course, I ended up making and sharing that personal piece for the showcase. That was the Museum of Almost Realities, a collection of artifacts from the life you might have had, and this like museum installation to wander through. And it really, for me, it was like really the art that I needed to make at the time and the art that I needed to share. But I also needed that time and headspace and community of other artists who were your first readers, and also that final piece of permission. So in regards to Poetic Computation, I was thinking about the story that I wanted to tell, what narrative I wanted to explore, what direction my curiosity was leading me in, and then how the technology could then support that idea. So Poetic Computation is computation in the aid of story and meaning and connection. And so one of the things I love about SFPC, having been both a student and an instructor, is starting from that. What is that story? What is that connection you're trying to make with your audience? How are you trying to follow your curiosity, your questions, your conscience? And then learning how to build the thing to hold that. We can figure out how to build it now. And sometimes the end result is an object or a little computer, and sometimes it's a screen, or sometimes it's the intentional absence of a screen. And as an artist, it's been like so important to like learn how to trust yourself and what you're trying to create, but then of course being around other people who are kind and generous with their time and thoughts and who can give you that little push when you need it. Thank you.
Hi, do you have to turn these on? No, you don't. Okay, we've discovered it. Hello, I'm Meghna Delakia, and I'm from 2018, and what a privilege to be right in the center of like this, I guess, magical arc, looking forward and back. But yeah, I wanted to tell you a little bit about my time at SFPC. So, all my life, I have drawn, painted, acted, and told stories. And all my life, I have been building robots and solving puzzles and making structures out of marshmallows and toothpicks, and these things never felt at odds with each other, but they never felt like they fit together either. So when I first heard of SFPC via the I.O. conference, shout out I.O., my first thought was, who let these damn adults have so much fun? And my second thought was, please, let me go here. I was really surprised when I got in. I wasn't a professional artist or a coder, a brilliant organizer, or a serious theorist. On the application, it asked what skills we could offer, and I said, well, I'm really good at getting people to cook and eat together. And somehow, that offering was enough. So I came to New York, and I discovered art and lifelong collaborators in a new home, and I got to spend 10 glorious weeks immersed in poetic computation. Poetic computation, then and now, is a bit like magic to me. Not in the any technology sufficiently advanced is indistinguishable from kind of way, but in the way that a performer can make your heart jump when they pull a coin out from behind your ear or whisper the number on your card. It is the shocking unreality of a truly spectacular sunset. Magic is something that rewrites the grinding rules of reality as we experience it. Sometimes it bends and twists them, and a shock of doves takes flight. Sometimes it splits them open and reveals a colder and harder truth underneath. Sometimes the magic is in the act of teaching you its cost. After an act of magic, the whole world is different. Colors are brighter, sounds are sharper. You look around and everything becomes worthy of curiosity. That is what makes poetic computation magical to me. It gives us new eyes to wonder with, whether we're looking at the poetry of files and folders, shout out Melanie Hoff, or the timekeeping power of crystals. It doesn't let us take life on this tiny spinning rock for granted. There's one more thing I'd like to offer you because I didn't pay attention to when my time started, but Todd, cut me off if you need to. And it's something that SFPC offered me, which was a new measure for my life. This is a quote from someone in the fall 2018 cohort. I used to attribute it to Galen McDonald. Galen said it was definitely not him. And it goes like this. Success means being able to devote a majority of your time and headspace to what you do, and also maintain an intellectual or artistic space that can be yours, or that can be private, or that cannot be co-opted. Being able to have a full life and fall in love and have all kinds of registers of experience that are outside of the career. Being there for the long haul and the slow burn, year after year, and trying to have structures in place, including friendship, artist-centered nonprofit spaces, collaboration, teaching, and writing. May you find that success too.
Hello. My name is Olivia Ross, and I was an alum in the year 2019. And SFPC ruined me for college. My first encounter with SFPC was in 2019, and I was told at the time that I was perhaps their youngest student ever. I had been 18 years old, freshly graduated from college, and my summer up until that point, before fall of 2019, which was when my 10-week session was kind of like that Lady Gaga meme where she's like, a bus, a train, another train, next party. I graduated June 1st, and June 2nd, I was on a plane to Minneapolis, where I was a student volunteer at I.O. Festival. And then the summer that followed it, when I returned to my native city of New York, I spent several weeks with the artist collective Bufu during their Wi-Fi school, which was partially hosted at SFPC, Wi-Fi being with you, for you, which was kind of like my aperitif of learning to digest these ideas about what an alternative educational model could mean. But my first encounter with SFPC itself actually was during high school. I told the story even in my old application, which I mined when making this talk, that I was being hounded by my college counseling office about where I was going to be applying to schools my senior year, and after doing a lot of research, because I did not want to go to an MIT or a CMU to study computer science in the traditional ways we are taught, I found the School for Poetic Computation, and it was at the top of my list. And I handed this list to my college counseling officer, who told me very sternly that this was not an accredited institution. So I decided to take a gap year. That application process was the first time that I met the very first person from the SFPC community that I would meet, Netta Bomani, who, when I reflected on my application, I got to revisit all of the really, really sweet comments they left for me as they had offered through Twitter to read over the applications of prospective Black and brown students. This encounter was the beginning of a series of what I'm thinking of as now modeling experiences or experiments of encountering a series of demonstrations, of promises, of declarations, of people committed to figuring out and dreaming up and spiraling around what computation is going to be and what it has been and what it could be. Throughout my time in the 2019 fall cohort, which I'm referring to as my freshman year, I discovered, I made poetry, I made friends, I discovered a new way of relating to electronic objects and a new way of relating to being in a classroom at all. Post this experience, I've made 2 attempts at going to actual college, both of which have been literally horrible, because I cannot find what I found at SFPC anywhere else. Searching through my Google Drive, I uncovered files of my old Meet the Students presentation, saved places in Google Maps of my favorite places in the West Village to sit and think and decompress and marinate in the ideas with friends over ice cream, over peas and rice from the deli 5 blocks away by the Hudson River. I found my old files from Celine Wong Katzman's artist statement workshop, my notes from Melanie Hoff's folder poem workshop, my drafts on drafts of essays I wrote for American Artists' Critical Theory of Technology class, and I clicked through their revision history and watched my words grow and shrink and spin and evolve. I explored my photo app and found the photos and videos of CW&T's electronics class of mapping out logic gates of silly values like being hot or smart, or warm or cold, and even sillier values like 0 or 1. I remembered coding classes where we deconstructed works from the lineage of computational poets who preceded us. And it occurred to me that perhaps this was what I appreciated most about the co-learning, co-teaching aspect of SFPC. Because to be a student at the School for Poetic Computation is to learn a respect for mystery over mastery, for the inherent dynamism of life and society. All art and poetry that engages computational systems, by necessity, engages with chance, with the spinning wheel, whether it's the spinning wheel of life, of gambling to see whether or not your code's going to compile, or the spinning wheel of a program that's just stopped. With the acknowledgement that there is no random value, only pseudo-random, and that all that appears random is actually still born from a seed. The interconnectedness, the interbeing of life, of systems of communication, of commerce, of sex, of gender, of race, of class, of computation. These were all concepts that really hit me like a sledgehammer my freshman year at SFPC. My sophomore/junior year at SFPC happened during summer 2021 when I was a teaching assistant for Digital Love Languages with Melanie Hoff as the teacher. My senior year was Solidarity Infrastructures by Alice Yuan Zhang and Mark Matagi Hernandez in spring 2023. Some dear friends at the 8-ball table at the fair, right over there, described me as those kids who get raised by a commune. And that feels so crazy, but also so true. These experiences that did indeed further ruin me for any new experiences in traditional higher education. I would like you all, when I drop out again, I hope you will remember your fallen comrade fondly as we wage fierce curiosity under systems that demand our uncritical submission. Thank you.
Can I put this in here? Does that work? My hands are a little sweaty, so I didn't want to hold my phone and the microphone. Hi, everyone. I'm Elizabeth Perez, and I feel like I have a very big responsibility for 2020. Because I think we didn't have a 10-week program, did we? No. So I'm from the Winter Code Societies program that happened in January. It's a 3-week program. And I came to that program because of Netta Bomani, who's just, love you. And I met Netta when I was a graduate student at ITP, and I was so lost. I had no idea what I was doing there. So when asked to present for this year, I said absolutely. I gained a whole new world, a whole new community, so I would love to participate in this very special, chaotic panel. So I wrote a little something, and Todd, I'm gonna look at you and you tell me if I'm over time. Cool, got it. I came into this world bare and curious. I bounced between responsibilities, and as I did, there was relatively little air around, and gasping for it was a chore in of itself. My yearning for community, for patience, for dialogue, for sharing grew bigger and bigger as my world got harder and harder. On a cellular level, I had already changed 4 years prior. I was relearning a new me in a new format, in a new body, with a deep need to fail freely. I needed to tap into a space that allowed me to put the pieces back together while reminding me that I wasn't broken. I was just new. So when asked what poetic computation meant to me in 2020, January 2020, I can tell you that I had no clue. I was just there for the ride, and I was pleasantly confused. The words and wires didn't immediately connect for me, but I knew that that didn't matter. I was the connector. I was the bridge. I was the person between people and things. I existed. I was invited into a space that was contending with what it meant to imagine material that repairs and heals and is communal. Yet I was the only parent, the only mother, and that meant that I had to think and create accordingly. I could not entertain the acceptance and thinking that a just world isn't within reach. How fair would that be to my son if I did? I could not entertain the omission of the caregivers, of the OG Imagineers who make so much of what happens around us possible when ideating the future. Little did I know that after my participation in the Winter Code Societies program, our breath would be snatched right from our lungs. What a missed opportunity, I thought. We could have gotten it right, and instead. But here we are, fighting for a haven we can all exist in, from Palestine to Sudan to Haiti and the Congo. It's only a matter of time until we refuse the comfort strangulating our siblings across the sea. And so I ask this of all of you, that the next time you think about the future and you work on something that will or can live beyond you, ask yourself, who do you see? What do they look like, and how did they get there? And if you do not know them or cannot name them, stop and ask yourself then, who is this for and who does this benefit? In 1982, Audre Lorde spoke to a group of students at Harvard University, urging them to see how all of their individual struggles are connected. She referenced her work from Sister Outsider when she said that building effective coalitions to fight the multiple injustices require that we commit ourselves to a future that can include each other, and to work towards a future that can include each other, and to work towards a future with a particular strengths of our individual identities. In 2023, this is what poetic computation means to me. We cannot get free until all of us are free. Poetic computation unveils the disinformation and propaganda programmed into our devices, into our psyche. Poetic computation asks us to remember what excites us about being human, what excites us about being with people, learning new things, and making sure that everyone has an opportunity to imagine whatever they see in their heads come to fruition. So thank you to the School of Poetic Computation, its stewards, for encouraging us to dream outside of the paradigm so we do not treat each other as single issues, but rather as interconnected individuals trying to figure some shit out. Thank you.
everyone. My name is Joelle. It's really great to be here. I'm gonna begin with like an anecdote. So I learned about SFPC right when it was like kind of forming from the I/O Festival in like 2013 or 2012, I forget. And so I went to the like kind of first like SFPC public like kickoff, like welcome. And I was a student at ITP at the time, first year, and so they had like all of the students that year, present like what they were going to work on, and they also had special presenters, and one of them was Brett Victor, and he, essentially he presented like a poem, but a poem through code, and like a programming language or something, and so then a few weeks later, he gave the same exact presentation to my class at ITP, but he removed all of the poetry. And so at the next class, when our professor invited us to respond to it, everyone was like, that was so incredibly boring. Like people were really, really disappointed. Anyway, it's just like a memory that sticks in my head. So poetic computation. And so, sorry, this is a little bit small, so I'm gonna, turn towards the stage. So this definition is based on Saidiya Hartman's essay, or at least inspired by Saidiya Hartman's essay, Venus in Two Acts. This essay it kind of serves as a framework for how I just understand my relationship with technology and poetic computation. And so I define it, my working definition currently is the act or action of jeopardizing the status of code and or computing technology. One be the action of displacing the authority of code and computing technology. Second definition, a soft, sticky system of reckoning beauty. And see also computational poetics. Okay, great. So I attended Melanie Hoff's digital love languages class as part of the Cocoon program that was held in the summer of 2021. And I guess that was like the beginning of being able to take individual classes as opposed to like enrolling in the entire program. And so as someone who's been like a nose pressed against the glass admirer of SFPC, I was very, very excited to be able to take the class. Where am I? Oops. Oh yeah, sorry. I'm sorry. So when I first started taking the class, this was my definition of poetic computation. I was still on that hopey, changey shit. And so, but now, I feel like even my working definition emphasizes too much on like what is not. Emphasizes too much of proving something that code and computing technology is not. And so again, turning back to this essay, which is a framework, how can, a big question I have is how can poetic computation, push against narratives or even be a recombinant narrative, weaving past, present, and future. So that's all that I have. Thank you.
If one were to interrogate the concept of poetic computation as it pertains to artistic and pedagogical trajectory, the response might well be labyrinthine, resembling, say, a metafictional tapestry woven with strands of digital culture. Performance arts and philosophical musings on the nature of reality itself. At the outset, when the School for Poetic Computation, or SFPC, first appeared on my radar, it seemed a sanctuary where technology and artistry converge. Yet, this was merely the nascent stage of my comprehension. In line with its seemingly ambiguous name, SFPC indeed focuses on teaching computers to write sonnets. The art I craft and teach dwells in the realms of illusion and subversion, constantly trying to challenge systemic norms. This predilection of mine found its roots in encounter with Jaranan, a trance dance from East Java, Indonesia, which demonstrated the ecstatic nature of altered states of consciousness. Here, the participants' fervor, consuming raw chickens and glass shards, manifested as both awe-inspiring and terrifying, prompting a re-evaluation of performance and perception. Sagging into my graduate studies, a course whimsically titled Ecstasy under Riley Souls turned into a fertile ground for exploring the artistic sublime. The vibrancy of ritual studied stood in stark contrast to their academic dissection, particularly in the sterile gaze of academic analysis and impersonal formats of Adobe Acrobat. This dichotomy illuminated the limitations of digital media in conveying ecstasy's essence, propelling me towards a path of interface manipulation. YouTube buttons, Mac folder, Gmail systems, Google Slides all suffered to challenge viewer familiarity. My artistic endeavors eventually extended to live performances, where the interplay of illusion and reality mirrored the practices of stage magic. Here, the artistry lay not in the overt display, but in subtle choreography of defamiliarization. Each performance, site-specific, sought to immerse the audience fully, echoing the metafictional approach of reframing reality. In crafting these narratives, I drew inspiration from Saidiza Hartman's concept of critical fabulation and Wally Trott's narrative unreliability, employing them as tools to contest and expand upon accepted narratives. Moreover, insights from Irving Goffman's work on self-presentation of everyday's life inform my understanding of our digital personae, viewing them as performative rituals akin to magical practices. This led to realization, in digital realm, interfaces, like magic, can either obscure or empower. In essence, poetic computation, from my initial encounter at SFPC to its current significance, represents an ongoing endeavor to demystify the algorithmic sublime, akin to an illusionist revealing their secrets. It's about discovering truth amidst the magical, fostering a deeper connection with our existence, and exploring a kaleidoscope of technological dialects and expression that shape our interconnected landscape. Thanks.
Wow. I mean, I had some discussion questions prepared, but I feel like Kurtimas pretty much covered it there at the end. We're out of time for our panel, so rather than discussing something, I'm wondering if we would all want to stand up and maybe take a photo together. I feel like this is a pretty nice group of people, yeah. Let's give it up for all these amazing presenters.